Hi, this is DANIE Vorster, and today I will be covering session 2 in a series called Life Management God's Way, which will follow on the previous session where we're talking about time management and all its components, all your resources. Today we'll be talking about just S.I.M.P. New word for some, an abbreviation of the word simplify or simplification. The secret to an effective life. This is an acronym which I will be sharing with you, and you will be discovering the various components of this four-letter word. I've always been intrigued by the power of simplicity, its magic and its beauty. Over the years I've discovered if you simplify things, it breaks down complicated things to something which is understandable and is palatable and can be used. Even though this is a four-letter acronym spelling S.I.M.P, an abbreviation of simplification or simplify, I first discovered Edward de Bono, the father of lateral thinking, using this principle in his book called Simplicity, a thick book comprising many pages, where he said if we want to simplify something, we should maybe use a simpler word. And then he came up with the word S.I.M.P. And I've made an acronym of it, written a book, which you can find on my author page, and you are welcome to read a sample or buy it. S.I.M.P, S.I.M.P, is what that book is all about. To explore and simplify the underlying components of a simple, successful life, filled with joy and happiness, to show you the DNA of the word S.I.M.P as applied to the way you could understand and conduct your life. That is a quote from the book. Here follows some more quotes from the book, which will let you into the secret. Insecurity or uncertainty is the biggest challenge you and I will ever face during our lifetime here on earth. It is man's default mode. It is there by birth. It will be there at death, unless we find the antidote in time. We have to overcome this entrenched trait as a prerequisite to ever finding lasting happiness, I believe. You will see I use the word S.I.M.P as a verb. But I have told you that it is an acronym from where I'm coming from. The S stands for security, the I for identity, the M for management, the art of managing yourself and your money. Not management, management with an E-Y. And then purpose is the last letter, the P in S.I.M.P, which I will expand on during the course of this session. Even though security is the underlying foundation of our lives and our expectations, I will spend the time talking about your purpose and your identity during the course of this session, in line with our topic. Identity. The definition of identity is who you are, the way you think about yourself, the way you are viewed by the world, and the characteristics that define you as a person. Examples of identity are a person's name or ID photo or passport. This is who you are perceived to be by the outside world. Maybe the way you see yourself. But is there maybe something else behind it? This is what I intend pointing out to you during the course of this session. It is critically important that you know who you are. Everything is dependent on this. If you get it right, you will act with confidence and assurance. If you don't, you will experience insecurity and act indecisively. That will have an impact on your whole life, the way you see and the way you do things. It will affect every area of your life because this is your vantage point. Just notice how many sentences start with I when you speak. This is where you are coming from. This is your world. We spend a very large portion of our lives seeking and finding our identity. People find themselves in an identity crisis, often through their adult lives. So this is why we have to look at the I of S.I.M.P. After all, I is the letter or the word we use to refer to ourselves. And just when we discovered who we were, who we are, we find that there's another secret hidden in Galatians 2 verse 20 in the Bible, which gives us a complete different perspective. This is our identity. Let us look at the I in S.I.M.P. and also the I of identity. Paul declares in Galatians 2:20, "It is no longer I that liveth, but Christ that liveth in me." Now, something happens between living for yourself and living for a bigger purpose, living for a different reason, and not only to enrich yourself. And the world doesn't only revolve around yourself. I've discovered a very simple yet effective way of organizing my life around its prime purpose or goal. It always assists me to budget for and control the use of my resources and apply my God-given talents and skills in such a way that I'm always conscious of being accountable for my decisions and my actions and my transactions. There is a hidden link between your identity and the purpose of your life, which I will explain just now and make an application. The purpose of our lives actually identifies us. The DNA of your identity lies in your purpose. Your purpose reflects your identity, in fact. If we make an acronym of the word purpose, P-U-R-P-O-S-E, we make an astonishing discovery if you are a Christian. Now let us look at this. The P represents pleasing God only, with all your heart and all your mind and all your life, always. This is your purpose and your goal. If this is the main thing in your life, the challenge is to constantly make sure that the main thing always stays the main thing. So the P and the U and the R and the P and the O and the S and the E, in the case of a Christian, should, in fact, take into account your uniqueness. The U stands for I am unique. This is also a universal fact. You are not cloned nor a copy of anybody else. You have been gifted by God with talents and treasures which make you as unique as your DNA. Nobody else can do the work and fulfill the task that God has given you to perform during your limited number of years on this earth. Just think about that. The R in purpose represents proper resource management. This includes all the resources God, your creator and life partner, has entrusted to you to conduct your life successfully, caring for your loved ones and those entrusted to you, as well as fulfilling that big heavenly audacious goal, the BHAG in your life, which He had in mind when He created you. Resources include money, time, energy, intellectual capacity, opportunities, and all your unique talents and treasures. Absolutely none of your resources should be wasted or misappropriated. These scarce and limited resources should be carefully managed and applied only to further your big, heavenly, audacious goal and not be utilized to further your own ego or your kingdom on earth. Ours, for that matter. We should not apply these resources to make ourselves great. The second P in purpose represents adequate and proper planning. If the goal is clearly defined and the resources are available, planning is an essential tool in applying those resources in getting you to your goal eventually. Planning includes formulating objectives, budgeting and controlling your money and time, as well as monitoring your progress towards your goal. The O represents ownership. While we should take ownership of our lives by being responsible for our own deeds and actions, the emphasis here is on title of our life and assets. We do not own our own lives, nor the resources entrusted to us. God owns them. He gives it to us. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness of it, the world and they that dwell therein. How beautiful. The S represents stewardship. If we acknowledge that God is the owner of everything and we are mere stewards or managers of our lives and His resources entrusted to us, our whole mindset will change from fear to responsibility and joy, and we will thus enjoy life more abundantly because everything belongs to God and He has given us a specific life task to fulfill, something which we have discovered to be our passion. He will always supply the working capital needed to accomplish our goal. All of this must, however, always be to the glory of God. In other words, God must get the glory and not us. He does not share His glory with us. The E represents eternity. Life is short, eternity is long. What we do on this earth, the way we conduct ourselves and spend God's resources, will have a profound bearing on our lives after death, which is forever. If we are not convinced and do not believe that there is an eternity waiting after this life, of course this will affect our whole outlook and behavior in this life. Why would we bother then? What is the purpose of everything then? Just to enjoy ourselves, build our own kingdoms, and then what? Because tomorrow we die? Purpose spells pleasing God. It's a unique and universal concept. We have to look after God's resources, manage it, planning, ownership, stewardship, and eternity completes the picture. Recapping then, without understanding and recognizing your identity, you will battle to make sense of the purpose of your life. Your purpose is your footprint on earth. Your legacy is the footprint that you leave behind. Surely this is something we need to spend some time and energy and thought in investing, because our purpose is critical. You and I are defined by our purpose in life. Our purpose identifies us. We may even say we are identified, new word, by our purpose. The value of a life is determined by its purpose. The purpose gives meaning to it. The DNA of your life is embedded in your purpose, and your purpose identifies you and me. I trust that this session has given you a new perspective on life, and may God bless you as we move forward in our lives to the glory of God. Thank you.